Okay, so I want to talk about the immune system a little more than that picture showed. And I want to talk about timing, right? So when you are exposed to something, we call it a pathogen or an antigen, okay? And so an antigen is just something that's going to promote an antibody of some sort or a response by the immune system. If it's a pathogen, it just means it causes disease, okay? So that's just some foreign particle, right? So let's say it's some kind of virus, all right? So it would look like that. And so we're introducing a pathogen or a virus into our system. And the first thing that happens is what we call a non-specific response. Non-specific responses are just, they're the things that bug you: swelling, redness, fluid to the area. This is all just your body freaking out that there's something foreign in your body. You see this mostly with like splinters or bacteria that might get into a wound that you have open. But on a virus, a lot of times it gets inside and it doesn't necessarily prompt that non-specific immunity because it hasn't been detected yet. All right, so we're going to call this spot right here our exposure. Okay, that's the exposure to the particular antigen that you have. All right, and then we have this time frame before we notice. This is when we notice. Okay, and that time frame that we have before we notice, we call incubation time. You will have no symptoms during this time. Your body doesn't even know it's sick. This is when the pathogen, whether it be a bacteria or a virus, is inside of your body and it's replicating and it's getting inside of your cells if it's a virus, and it's replicating over and over, but your immune system hasn't quite caught on yet. Right there at the noticing, this is that picture that you're seeing where a B cell, this is our little B cell, notices that there's something wrong, okay? But then the solution is, okay, we've got to fight this thing, but in order to do that, we have to create an antibody. And so the B cell immediately gets to work in what I call the choose your own adventure. Do you remember those books? Maybe I'm too old, but there used to be these choose your own adventure books. Goosebumps is a lot like this, where you choose different ways that you can go, and then the solution is different depending on which way you choose. So in your genome, in your particular part of your DNA, you have a region that's variable. It depending on which part the body reads, you can get different antibodies. Okay, and so during this time, right, until we're like, eureka, we found it. This is that choose your own adventure time. Okay, I'm just going to say choose your own adventure. All right, and this is when you feel sick. Okay, your body is fighting this, and a lot of non-specific response happens. So you get a lot of fluid to the area, you get a lot of swelling, so your nasal passages will swell. You'll have snot running out your nose or down your throat and into your lungs. You have a fever. That's all just trying to make this process go faster. And in the meantime, this B cell is trying to figure out which antibody matches. So it might make this one, and then it'll compare it over to this particular pathogen and say, no, that one doesn't match. And then it might make this one, and that one doesn't really match. And eventually, it figures one out that's going to match right to that pathogen. Okay, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for the one that matches. And that part can take anywhere from, a day to weeks, depending on how long it takes your body to figure this out. And so that's when you're feeling sick. Once your body figures it out, that's when this B cell does what we saw in the picture. The B cell, I'm just going to draw it up here. Here's our B cell. It divides into two cell types, okay? It divides into the plasma B cell and the memory B cell. The plasma B cell is going to immediately start pumping out the right antibody. Tons and tons of it. Just shooting them out everywhere across the bloodstream, and they're going to start finding the pathogen. And as soon as you have antibodies on the pathogen, that's when the eater cells, the little macrophages, the white blood cells, they recognize the pathogen now, and they will start to eat it up. Okay, so this is when once you're killing them faster than they're reproducing, okay, this is when we're healing, okay, until we're all better. Okay, this is when we start to feel better. We are winning the battle. Okay, this is when we are winning against the pathogen. We're destroying them faster than they are being produced, and we start to feel better until we're totally done. A lot of times, though, when people start to feel better, then they go out in public and then they spread the virus because they're not quite better yet. But let's talk about that other division that I forgot. The other type, the memory B cell, it's just going to be stored either in your lymph nodes, your bone marrow, depending how old you are, and other factors. But mostly in lymph nodes, it's just going to store this memory cell for later. So that if you ever get exposed to the same pathogen again, you can go directly to, right here, directly to producing antibodies and getting better. So that's the thing. You do actually catch it again. You just don't get sick because, or you don't feel symptoms because your body catches it right away, goes right to the plasma B cells that are producing antibodies, and you get rid of it right away. And so you're effectively immune to that particular pathogen once you've built that antibody and put it into your memory. Okay, so that's how the immune system works.